Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today on X Level Inc. I am so excited to have such a wonderful, dear, and fashionable friend with us today, who Goldie is, from the moment I met her, she is just a bright light that just shines, lights up every room, asks just the right questions. And I'm lucky enough today to get to interview her. I'll go over a little bit about her bio, but I know she wants to say hi. So I'll let her say hello first, because that's just who you are, Goldie. And then I'll fully introduce you.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here, of course, on the exclusive Happy Empowerment Hour.
I know it's a little bit of a mouthful, but it's a fun empowerment hour. You know, Goldie, you are the top person on LinkedIn as an influencer. You've been noted as the Oprah, if you will, on what you do from brand strategy. You graduated from Stanford. But what I really love, even much more so, and you have amazing tenure in all of that in your career, is your gorgeous heart. You are one of those people that leads with your heart. Yes, completely. And it's a beautiful thing to see. And I'm just curious from you, because right now you have a great project that just came out, which we'll go into in a little bit. But I want to know, what motivates you in the mornings?
Oh my gosh. So I love that you asked that question. I've started doing something on Twitter, actually. So when I get up in the morning, I think we all do this, especially all of us who are super active on social media. We log on to our social media platform of choice. And lately that's been Twitter. And I've been logging on, and I do a good morning and a good night when I remember. But I usually do a good morning and I do something really inspirational to help people, or really thoughtful, just something to get people starting to think as they start their day. So I think for me, when I start my day, one of the things that really gets me out of bed is the interaction and the engagement with other people who I feel maybe need a little bit of that boost to get going.
That is beautiful. And you know, it's so interesting, because that, to me, that's the first thing for me. I drink certain teas, they're the yogi teas. And I always like that they always have a quote or something like that, because it's something that's very important to is getting in that mindset. So I know you've began Warm Robots. Tell us a little bit about Warm Robots and what you're doing with that beautiful platform of yours.
Sure. Thank you so much. So Warm Robots is a storytelling agency and cultural consultancy. What does that mean? It means that we work with amazing brands like Adobe, like Lego, and we help them tell better either internal stories, so we work with HR, or we tell better external stories. So really partnering with Adobe to help them understand better how they can be a better integration with their ambassador program, or show off their products in a better way. It's really beautiful, fun work. And I'm joined by my partner, Sophia Deva, who is just a wonderful human being in general.
And you're right. And you all recently just did, which I'm honored, and thank you so much for thinking of me, is Courageous Conversations. And I love that you created, you know, a class of 2020. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind that great program.
Sure. So Courageous Conversations is one of our tentpoles at Warm Robots. We love to open the door to these very brave discussions, especially with C-level executives, especially with leaders. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to take what we do behind closed doors and open up those doors and let people in so they could see the kind of amazing thoughts like yourself, like you have, around having a brave conversation and what that really means to you. And I think it's when you include leaders into this discussion on what is brave, what is vulnerable, that you have real change. So the Courageous Conversation Project is meant to showcase a little bit of that. And it was very fun to do it on Pinterest. We actually used a beta product that they have right now called Pinterest Stories. It's very multimedia, very interactive. And what is so fun about that, I think, is that we were able to include videos from the different 9 leaders that we picked and then also a text quote. So however someone learns, and we were just talking offline about how we learn. So if you learn through video, you can watch that video. If you learn through text, you can read their quote. I wanted it to be several touch points of how you can have or think about a courageous conversation from each of these amazing, amazing people.
And how did you all decide who you chose? Because I'm sure that that's very difficult because you have a huge Rolodex.
Well, I think between the two of us, we probably both have massive, massive Rolodexes.
I was going to say, can we even call it a Rolodex? I'm sure somebody's laughing at me right now going, yes.
I almost think it's like it's the entire universes, right? At this point, I think between you and me, we both have multiple universes with tiny little planets, and each planet has many people.
I agree.
But this is the criteria, which, everything I think is, if we had, say, 50 people in the program, the criteria may have been a little bit looser because we would have had more people. But I will say that 6 out of the 9 were what I call close friends or acquaintances of mine. So obviously you are one of them, my dear. But 6 of the 9 that I picked, I really wanted to make sure that those people are leading courageous conversations directly in their communities. And obviously the other 3 of the 9 that Sophia brought on board also are doing that. But I just know personally, these 6, I'm incredibly proud to be in their orbits, in their circles, because I know for a fact the kind of conversations they're having. I know for a fact the kind of leadership work they're doing in their communities. And so it's such a joy to be able to bring them to the stage and expose them, honestly, to networks and people that they aren't normally in front of because they're doing such good work in their own communities, that it's sometimes tough, I think, to step outside of their own communities where they are leaders in.
Well, and that's one thing that I love about what you did, because I got to find out about other leaders that had no idea. Now we're social media friends. So it's almost like you invited all of us to a great cocktail party virtually, which was wonderful. And thank you for featuring it on Forbes and in your article. And I think it's something that people also should know is your articles and also what you post on LinkedIn are some of the top trending stories that people go to for knowledge. And I'm sure that comes with a lot of weight on your shoulders. So how do you navigate through that? I'm just curious.
Well, one of the things that I really, really try to do, especially with Forbes, is have at least a certain portion of my articles. For example, last year I did a whole series during Black History Month, which is so funny because now it's incredibly topical and everybody's scrambling to do this. But I think it's really important that if you have a platform and especially if you're a person of color, you're a woman of color, that you open that platform to other people of color or women of color, other groups that do not have access to that level of platform, to that level of exposure. To me, that's just a very important personal thing for me. So I love to feature women of color. I love to feature amazing people of color who are leading the charge in their community, or quite frankly, anyone who's building, thinking, innovating, and doing something very, very new that hasn't been seen before, and then translating those lessons into broader knowledge. So even though it might be, for example, I'm a huge nerd, so it might be about Dungeons and Dragons, I can take that learning from Dungeons and Dragons and say, hey, if you are a C-level executive, here's what you can learn.
Right. No, definitely. And it's always about how can we all learn from each other? And there's always a great lesson. And I will tell you this, all of us, I think nowadays are all familiar with Dungeons and Dragons. So no, you're not a nerd, because all of us are having fun with it together. But I will tell you that I think what's been interesting to me is with what you've done in your amazing platform and in giving voices to so many is the energy that you bring to it. You are one of those individuals, as I said earlier, that lights up a room, not only with your fabulous hair, which I will tell you this, from the fashion industry, I think I told you earlier when we were offline, but I love your hair. I know this isn't permanent. I know that some of your fans probably want it all back to green. I love what it does. So for me, I thought, oh, she did it on purpose because we're going to be chatting here today. It's so beautiful.
I do love how coordinating we are. We could be on the same shelf at the store.
Somebody just needs to make us our little doll, or so we can just be there. I guess you send me the Goldie, and I'll send you the Citlali.
Yes,
we'll be there together. So I need to make us that way. But I think that's something that's very key. And I'm curious, with everything going on in the world right now, how are you finding your balance? I know you find inspiration in the morning, but like everybody, there's been a roller coaster of emotions. I'm sure when you're putting together this project, you're putting together in some of the toughest things that our world has seen at this time, understandably so. But I think one of the beautiful thing I love about you is yet you smile every day. And I know that we talked about that offline. And I think that right now, somebody that might be watching this as well wants to know, how do I get my spirit back the way Goldie has it? And she shows up every day and she is ready to conquer everything that's on her mission.
Well, I always think about it this way. I think, honestly, to be so corny, at the root of everything, I believe so much that we are all loved. Right. And that is, to me, such a comfort, because if you know that you are loved, then what can you not do? Right? Because, and it's not something you can touch or see, or it's not something you can handle physically. But it's something that if you know you have a deep sense of love in yourself, for yourself, you have a sense that other people love you, and you're part of communities, you're part of groups, you're part of these networks. I think that is, to me, the most powerful thing that makes me get up in the morning too, and go do the work and reach out and extend myself 2000%. Because if you know that you are loved, once again, what can you not do with your life?
That has to be such beautifully stated. And I will tell you, this goes perfectly in line with the book that I was reading that was telling me about Gabrielle Bernstein. And you are so right. And I think that so many things could be solved in this world if people realize just how loved they are.
Yes.
And that self-love, it starts there first and it just grows from there. So if there was one last piece of advice, and of course we all know about being loved, but one last piece of advice that you want somebody to walk away from with your projects or about Warm Robots, what would that be?
There is a word that I have been focused on lately, which is not a word that I normally am drawn to. So I find it interesting, but it's been coming up in my keynotes, and I feel in a way it's come up again in this project, Courageous Conversations, and certainly at Warm Robots, which is being calm, the C word, calm, right? And especially being calm during a tumultuous time. I think that is one of the key indicators of true confidence as a leader, as a person, as someone who is weathering the storm with the rest of us. If you can be a calm person and explain yourself calmly and explain points calmly, I think that's going to be a really powerful thing during this time. So it's, especially because we have so many emotions floating around. There's so much going on. And I am an expressive person myself, and I love it when people express themselves. But there's something so beautiful about the person who is the calmest in the room. They're the eye of the storm. And that's where everyone will gravitate towards and focus on. So if you can focus on the calm and being that calm, authoritative person, I think that's going to really help in honestly every single area right now.
Right. It's beautiful. And what a beautiful thing to end on is on being calm. And I really hope that our viewers learn today. If you aren't following Goldie, be sure to follow her on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. You can wake up with inspiration every day there too. But also I love that. I hope that what I'm walking with today is that everyone is loved, and it starts with self. But I love the whole leadership with calm, because I do agree with you. And before we were offline, we discussed that, how both of us are doing our best to stay grounded during these times. And for me, it's been meditation, and it's really working on that mental headspace to be clear. But it's interesting how much more time I end up having when I take that time to be calm versus just running and running. But I don't know about you, but also then it's quick to sense it when somebody around you is not calm.
Yes, I always like to think we're animals at the end of the day, right? So we can sense, I believe in our guts. Like I believe in a gut feeling about a person. And I also believe that if you have 10 panicked people in a room and you have one calm person in the room, people are going to look to that one calm person to lead the situation, to take control. And there's a reason for that, because when all the sheep are scared, that's when the shepherd can lead, right?
Right. No, it's very, very true. Very, very true. Well, darling, I am so grateful for your time today. This will not be our only conversation, because we have so much to learn from my sweet friend Goldie, and I hope she shares more of her time with us in the near future. But if you haven't subscribed, be sure to subscribe. Watch X Level Inc., because at the end of the day, our goal here is for all of us to be empowered together, because the pie is big enough for all of us to get a piece. So let's just go ahead and share all of our knowledge together at the same time. So without further ado, thank you again for joining us on X Level Inc. And until next time, bye.